Now we're live, Coco Dolenz. Hello there.
Hello.
We made it a whole nother week.
Oh, it's
Go
amazing.
figure.
Go
How
figure.
have you been this week?
I have been good. I've been working part time. I've been working on music. I've been cleaning out drawers in my kitchen. I go to open a drawer and go, this is just wrong. So I've been taking the time to like go, wait a minute. And I'm resorting it and I'm about to learn how to make really cool like containers out of empty boxes because I have a ton of them. So I'm going to cover them in material and reuse them, basically reuse, recycle, which is like a huge thing for me. It's like I don't want to throw them in the landfill, but I want to be able to use them. So anyway, so lots of projects and stuff. How are you doing?
I'm doing really, really great. We had, I mean, we want to start doing this anyway because
Yeah.
fans have been asking. But there were so many people that watched when you were on the last week.
Yeah?
So many people had questions.
Okay.
So I want to start out with move your camera. There we go.
There we go.
Perfect.
Got to frame it right, right?
Yes. I want to. So it was people started receiving emails this week about officially letting them know that the tours are being postponed until next year.
Yeah.
Now, we knew that that was probably going to happen, but do you, I mean, I know that this affects your life, I mean, your
Yeah.
livelihood and
Yeah.
stuff, but what do you think about this decision being made?
I think they didn't have a choice, because different states are doing different things, and we're still concerned about people being exposed, even though they don't think they're going to be. There are. And quite honestly, honey, it's not up to us. It's not up to Mickey or Mike or anyone. It's up to the bookers. It's up to the state's laws. It's up to the agents, blah, blah, blah. So I did get an email that showed me some dates, which I can't remember what they are right now, but ones that have been
Confirmed.
confirmed right now, like in March through May or something like that. But everybody thinks that Mickey and Mike have control over ticket prices and where we go. No, that's not it at all. It's like a booker, an agent, a booker, whatever they're called. They're the ones that say, okay, well, we want to have you over at, blah, 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 you know, stadium. And this is the dates we have. So then they say, you want to book it. Has nothing to do with us. We have nothing to do with any of that stuff. So I think it's wise because I think people are still kind of skittish and people are still kind of, ooh, what are we doing? Like anything that happens at the very beginning, I think it's always like fearful because nobody knows. There
Yeah.
hasn't been a lot of like, this is what it is, right? There hasn't been that, okay? So people are worried, and likely so. And I think it'll be great. It'll be something to look forward to March. By then, like most things, things work out, and more information is spread. And by March, we'll probably be going, hey, no problem. And I know the tickets, I'm pretty sure that anybody that did buy a ticket for this season, those are already confirmed and fine. So
The
they're not
one
going to lose their money.
the one thing I learned, I spoke with Andrew when he was telling me what was going on. And the one thing that people are lucky that our shows are, ours, that your shows are postponed
Yeah.
because a lot of concerts are refunding them.
Uh-huh.
And I think what's going to happen is ticket prices are going to skyrocket eventually because if they do only hold a certain capacity of
Oh,
people,
right.
it's going to come back on the consumer. So Andrew actually was trying to help our fans by
Yeah.
securing, if you paid this much
Cool.
money, you're not going
You're
to
in.
have to pay
Okay.
more.
I
Yeah.
don't. I don't usually hear all those emails. I have nothing to do with it. So that's brilliant. I'm glad to
I,
hear that.
I, I really, I really, when he was explaining how I didn't realize all
Hmm.
the it's every law, it's just crazy. But
Yeah.
I am relieved. I'm sure the fans are very relieved, and you know
And
that
we'll have a good time in spring. We
We
go
are,
bring
we
it
have
on.
something, we have everything to live for now, you
Yes,
know?
absolutely.
And
This will
hopefully we can
pass.
help each other.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, this will pass. It's just that, you know, with the social media and with the media and the stuff and the people talking and everybody like vying for whatever, there's so much misinformation and so much fear and so much all this. And I read a thing recently about if somebody had been born in 1900, which is probably not for you, but for me, my grandmother, all right, born 1898. And it goes along, maybe I'll post it on my site. It goes along and says, well, if you were born in 1900, by the time you were 14, World War I broke out. And then you were blah, blah, blah years. And then there's the Great Depression. And then there's the Spanish flu. And then there's World War II. And it goes on and on and on. And it's like, you know, and we're like, oh my God, we have a pandemic. Well, so what? You know, I don't mean to say so what. It's just that a lot of things have happened. And nowadays we hear about it instantaneously. And we hear everybody's opinion. And we hear all this, oh, you know. It's like, relax, folks. Take a breath. Take a deep breath.
Just to think the same people that are watching Tiger King are the same ones telling us whether or not we should go shopping and
I
like,
don't know what Tiger King is.
oh my God, wait till I send you this train
I'm
wreck.
sorry. What is it?
It's a show on Netflix
Okay.
about people who raise wild animals,
Okay.
and that they are crazier than the craziest thing you've ever.
Okay.
I'll show you. You
I'll
just
watch.
can't
I'll
make
watch it.
this up. So I was telling you before that I had a doctor on, Dr. Jaya Mikshara, who was saying that when you are born, your parents teach you to cough and sneeze into your mouth, and that's the
Of course.
same way
Cover your
you
mouth.
should
They
look
always
at
say
the
cough. Cover your mouth.
mask,
Called
because
etiquette. Good
because
manners.
you also have people in your life that they like me have panic attacks. They're scared wearing the mask. It's unnatural.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
but that it's something. If we want to go to concerts in a year, this is just what we're going to have to do.
Well, maybe not by then, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
as they get more information, see, that's the problem that some of the previous flus and all this stuff has had a certain information. Okay, this is kind of a biological whammy, so they don't know. You know, the medical profession and the researchers and everything are finding out, and I think that's why it's so scary because we don't know. And every day we hear more information about, oh, well, you know, it's not going to land, you know, it can't do this and it can do that and rah, rah, rah. It's too soon to tell, you know. So the idea of just being safe, if you're going to cough, yeah, you want to stop your cough from going out to someone. Now, if you wear a mask and somebody over here coughs and they've got the virus, well, my understanding is that little plastic, that little cloth mask ain't going to do diddly squat, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Though
but
I did
again,
see an amazing rhinestone one, and I said to
oh
Josh
my,
today, I said, I want to get it, but like I'm hoping this will be over before I need to invest this money.
I think everyone, like I said, I think just everyone's scared. They don't know what's really true. We don't really know enough. You know, there was an old Denzel Washington movie, which I love him, and I can't remember the name of the movie, but he was evidently some kind of expert. And he gets a knock on the door at like 3 a.m. from some kind of military looking guy saying, come with me, Dr. So and so. And he's like, oh, okay, right? So he goes with him. And as they're driving, the driver says, do you have any questions? And he says, I don't know enough yet to ask questions, right? He
Uh-huh.
doesn't know enough about, you know, he says, I don't know enough about what's going on to ask questions. So they finally get to where they're going, and he sees all this things and trucks and lights and everything, and, you know, trucks that have market signs on them and lights and, you know, all these people. And he goes, now I've got some questions. And I think it's the same way. It's like we don't know enough to ask the right questions. And slowly but surely we are, and we'll find out, you know, what's going on and how to, that's why I'm so into the immunity system. I talk to my son, who's, huge organics and exercise and all this. He says, nobody's talking about the immunity system because your immunity is what saves you on the island,
Yes.
okay, on Survivor Island, and here as well. So why aren't we talking about the oils and the food and the exercise and all this stuff to keep ourselves strong so we don't get sick in the first place?
Absolutely.
What do you think?
So, with the, I want to talk more about the oils because, well, I was telling you that my idea of the little necklace is to put Vicks in there to keep people away from me.
Yeah, these things.
But we had a lot of people. I know you've only one of the tree necklaces left.
Yeah, they're all gone.
But
Yay.
we still have more of the oils.
Well, yeah, and these I've actually had these for quite a while, and people have bought them as well. There's a lot of them out on the market. I mean, it doesn't have to be mine, but what they are just little metal cages with cute little symbols on them, and inside is like a little puff thing, like a little cotton thing or something, and you put oils on them, and depending on what it is that you're trying to do, like I learned recently, putting peppermint oil on the back of your neck will cool you down like 5%. I tried it. It works. I'm not a doctor. Okay.
It's good for headaches too, though, right?
It's good for headaches, all kinds of stuff. We were doing stuff with essential oils and herbs and everything for thousands of years before all these pharmaceutical things came out, right? Okay, so I tend to go back to those. My mother, when we were sick, when we were little, she'd put the towel over our head with a hot bowl of water and throw Vicks or whatever in it, eucalyptus oil, right? And we'd sit there and breathe it in, and our lungs would be better and we'd feel better, right? So I have a tendency to kind of go towards that stuff anyway. And I use Four Thieves and eucalyptus and lemon and everything in mine, and I have sensitive lungs. I'm prone to bronchitis. I'm prone to asthma. And so, especially with this whole lung thing going on, it is like snorting Vicks. But yeah, and then sometimes if like you're really like spaced out and you're like really nervous, we all know that lavender is a relaxant. Duh. If you don't know that, Google it. Lavender is I think it's chemically, it goes in and, penetrates into your cells and stuff. And somehow it creates a change, a difference, so I'm not a doctor. Okay. But I do wear my little thing, especially when I'm singing.
As a married woman, I put cockroach spray. This keeps everybody away from me. And also going into my monkey room. But you you gave me one of those, and you're married.
Cockroach spray? You are.
You never know what will keep them away from you.
Oh, but you know what we'll do? I think a spider crawled on me a couple nights ago, and I was like, "Is that or I was dreaming it?" And I found out that peppermint, they don't like the smell of mint. So I put a bunch of peppermint oil on a bunch of cotton balls and threw them behind my bed. And I haven't had that experience again. So we'll see. I'll let you know.
I like that one. I'll let you know how the cockroach spray works.
Thank you.
Because we're married 20 years. So the way that I keep him away from me is, like a bug. Go away. So we got a lot of questions for you. You got, okay. First question comes from Johnny Adams. Johnny wants to know if you sang at the end of the song Mommy and Daddy.
I sang throughout the entire song of Mommy and Daddy.
Both versions of it, right?
Yes.
Wow.
I know, yes. Or was that Shorty Blackwell?
Well, you did Shorty Blackwell, but Mommy and Daddy has very high vocals also.
I think so. But again, guys, Mickey and I sound so much alike. And I would go down there when he was recording stuff and back and forth. And he's got an incredibly high voice. So can I say for sure? Can I call a friend?
Yeah.
I could call Andrew and he'd go, "Oh, yes, you sang that." I think I did because I remember that. But it may not be true. So don't
So
you
if
know,
it's a trivia contest, probably don't, we're not going to have you as our phone a friend.
how would we prove it anyway? I don't know. But
I'll tell you, there was this song, I don't remember what it was. I was driving to the airport to come to California, and Mickey called me. We were in the car talking,
yeah.
and I asked him about a song, and he didn't remember if he wrote it. He goes, wait, I have to Google it.
I'm telling you, when I used to go to the fan conventions and stuff, I remember one in particular, my mom and I went to one before she passed, which was in 95. So it was something out here, somewhere on the West Coast. And we looked at each other and said, this is uncanny because some people know more about us than we do. It was pretty weird. It's like, oh yeah, you really did that. I did? Okay. And I don't remember. So, but anyway, I don't know if I did or not. If it's really, really high, I may have. But who produced it? We'd have to find out who produced it and when it was.
I'm actually, honestly, the fans, thank God, are more of the monkey aficionados than I am.
I know. Anyway, so the best
so,
answer I can give.
so we don't know that answer, but I was told grab Andrew's book. Now that I could do eventually. That's a great idea. Um, uh, the cover that you did of Being Green, I posted it. Sydney Warner's asking when you recorded that.
Oh my. I recorded it a gazillion years ago. It's on my One Voice album, and it's on Etsy right now as one of the songs. And that was the one that some friends of mine up in Canada asked to use for the background of a slideshow that they did to honor all of the people in Canada that are still doing composting, organic gardening, picking up all this stuff and all this. And they asked me to use it, and I said, "It's fine with me." And then it occurred to me, you kind of need publishing rights to be able to do that. So I talked to my friend Donna, who is a publicist, or not a publicist, but she works in music publishing, and I said, they're using Joe Raposo's song for the background of this thing. They kind of needed permission, right? And she goes, yeah. So she gave me the email for Nick Raposo, who is his son, who does his publishing. And my friend Susan sent him an email going, oh, we use that song and I hope it's okay. And he said, yes, it's fine. What a great, thing that you're doing. And in the future, I might want to ask permission first. And that's totally my bad because I didn't even think about it until afterwards that anytime you use someone else's song for anything, you need the publisher's okay. Just for like any songs that I sing and I sell, I pay a publishing right. Pennies go to Amanda McBroom for the Rose, or Joe Raposo for the Being Green. So yeah, and I did that, and I think it's on the Etsy site on One Voice that people can download if they want.
That's Dolenz Delights.
Yes.
Marty Ross is asking, what was what was your first paid gig?
Oh my God. I have no idea. Maybe when I did some commercials in the early. Oh no, I know what it was. I did some voiceover work for The Exorcist.
Wait a minute.
Yes, I did.
Linda Blair?
Yes. Well, I wasn't Linda Blair.
Well, of course.
No, it was the movie The Exorcist. That's what it was. I worked for a friend of mine got me the gig, and it was for Todd AO, which is a sound company thing in LA. I gotta say early 70s, whenever The Exorcist came out, and it was called looping. It was called doing sounds, right? I got paid very well in those days for being the background, like when Linda Blair comes downstairs in the movie and she pees all over the carpet. And everybody in the living room goes, "Oh my God, did you see that? Ooh, yeah." That was part of me and some other people. When they're playing tennis, and I hope everybody goes out and looks at The Exorcist now. when the priest and the other guy are walking along and it's the college or something, and kids are playing tennis in the background, and you hear them going, "Fart, love," "Oh, you missed it," blah, blah, blah. They had set us up in a parking lot outside of Tadeo and said, "Okay, you're playing tennis." And they basically put a microphone in the middle of this parking lot and said, "Okay, just pretend like you're playing tennis." And so we would take turns going, "Okay, serve, blah, blah. Oh, you missed it. Okay, love, 14, whatever." And there's a laugh, and I started laughing, and you can actually hear it in the movie.
Great. Now I'm going to have to watch The Exorcist, and I'll be
And
up all weekend.
so I did that, and so it was like when she peed, and when somebody jumped out a window, we were like, "Oh my god," and saying all these things. It was a fascinating experience, and I didn't watch the movie because I was afraid it would scare me to death. I never watched it until years later, I think, in a hotel somewhere where I was, and I saw it on TV. I went, "Okay, now I can watch it."
Oh my God. I wouldn't have won that in a bet. Oh my God. Okay. So let me see. Who was this? Oh, um, uh, okay. Brittany Jones wants to know if you remember living in Bing Crosby's house.
No, because I wasn't born yet, but my brother was. Mickey, my family moved into that house when he was a toddler. And in fact, I have the platform rocker from that house that was left there that was supposedly his grandmother's. And it became my grandmother's, and I covered it for her and blah, blah, blah. And I still have it. Supposedly, there's no way to prove it, of course. But no, it wasn't me, it was him. And it was Bing Crosby's house in Toluca Lake, I believe. And it was before I was born.
Did you ever meet him?
No, no. This was before I was even born, honey. So Bing Crosby.
No, I know, but I didn't know if he was still alive, where if you'd ever met him.
I have no idea when he was alive or dead. I just know that they moved into that house. Mickey was a toddler because there's pictures of him by the pool or something. And I have the rocking chair or the platform rocker that was supposedly his grandmother's, but who knows?
Here's a question. Do you remember it all when Alice Cooper and Mickey were friends?
Yes, of course. They lived next door to each other in Horseshoe. Up in Laurel Canyon.
I haven't told anybody this. You're the first person besides Mickey that knows, but I'm actually interviewing Mickey and Alice Cooper in a couple of weeks together.
Oh, nice.
We're raising money for his charity. I know.
Yeah.
So
Vincent.
You got to give me a story, like something to ask them about. Do you remember anything about the two of them?
I remember a story, but I don't know if it's folklore and urban. What do they call it?
Urban legend?
Yeah. That, because he literally lived next door to Mickey up on Horseshoe Canyon. Supposedly, he would catapult beer cans from his house over to Mickey's house to land in the pool. That's some silly story I heard.
It's probably accurate.
Whether it's true or not, I have no idea. Somehow, from my distant memory of being a kid, I remember that, and it's like, I don't know.
But he wasn't Alice Cooper back then, was he? Was he famous?
Was. Well, he was Vincent, whatever his name is, but no, I think he was Alice Cooper then. Late 60s?
I mean, but he was as big. Was he like a big, I guess he wasn't a legend, but performer back then?
I don't know.
I mean, like,
I don't know. All I know it was that they called him Alice, and he lived next door. And you remember, I lived up north at the time, so I would only come down to LA every so often and hear tidbits of stuff, right? So whether he was like Alice Cooper at that point, I have no idea. Nice guy. I mean, his name is Vincent something. And I remember meeting him, and he was just normal as, apple pie. So,
yeah, when we went up to his place, Mickey walks in yelling, "Hey, Vince!" Like, exactly. See Alice Cooper. Okay, so
biz, baby.
I'll tell you. Okay, so tell me what. Okay, Joni Lynn wants to know if you had if what you wanted to be if you weren't going to be a performer? Was there another job or role or something that you were interested in besides performing on stage?
Mm. I mean, like as a kid, what did I see myself as or something?
Yeah, like what was your real like? If did you have a backup job career?
Well,
Like, how did
I
you like
remember my mother
architecture?
always saying. I remember my mother always saying that you should have a career in your back pocket. So learn typing and shorthand, which I did do. Okay, so over the years, I've spent probably more time doing that kind of stuff than the performing. But I think, well, I want to say minister, but not in the true sense of ministry. Um, Even with my music, it was like I had given songs in the 70s. I'd been given songs to do that were like cute and that's nice. But I always wanted to do songs that had some kind of meaning or impact or touched you, you know? And in those days, it was like, it doesn't make sense. Are you rock and roll? Or are you Cindy Paul? You know? And so, if anything else, I think the theater always appealed to me more than anything else, musical theater. Um, but also doing shows that had some kind of meat to them, you know, some kind of structure, some kind of made a difference, which is what I try to do in my cabaret show. You know, it's like, let's sing songs that touch people's hearts and make them feel better and bring them out of maybe where they are and uplift them. So that uplifting thing. So, you know, ministry, but not probably in what most people think of it as.
Now Joni's asking, like gospel music.
I've enjoyed gospel music, but again, being a comparative religion um, student, I've studied all religions and all philosophies, and I find a common thread between them all. And I also find that sometimes people go, well, you got to look at it this way, or you're wrong, or you got to look at it this way. And I don't believe that. I think whatever touches your heart and gets to you, right? So gospel usually is associated with Christian music, and it's usually about the love of Jesus and all that, which is great and it's inspiring. I don't necessarily have that same paradigm. I don't have that same, what's the word?
Connection.
Connection. Yeah. But when you sing things like that, what I do is connect to an inner Christ self, an inner being. Okay. So it's different, but the same. So some of the gospel music that I am a little bit more in tune with are things, for instance, writers like Ricky Byers wrote songs and I guess continues to write songs about that same feeling of personal connectedness to the universe or whatever, but not necessarily through a particular medium. I can also listen to Hindu mantras and get the same feeling. Okay. So this is getting pretty heavy. But what I think is that there's a saying that many paths up the mountain, and whatever your path is, go for it. Do it. Whatever, whatever speaks to you, it's right and it's real. And this person over here may have a different analogy or metaphor or feeling, and they get to the same place. I go, yay. It's to me, it's all the same thing somehow. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now, did you became ordained, didn't you?
Yes, I became ordained in 1969 through a group here in California who basically said, "Hey, if you want to do good works and you have some kind of a belief system and this and that, they were able to make you a minister." Okay? And they did, and it's legitimate. I've married people. I married my niece, and their premise was, even Jesus didn't have a church at the time, right? So their premise was anybody can minister to people, and it doesn't have to be necessarily under a certain dogmatic, set of things. And so, yeah, I've done it, and since 1969. So, yeah, so I'm a minister.
So
Reverend Dolenz.
I want to hear. my middle son, Derek,
Yeah.
came to us. He's going to be 25.
Oh, wow.
Derek said that he's able to marry people.
Okay.
And we, really? I mean, like, yeah, exactly. And he pulls out, he joined something from Judas Priest, and he said he's a minister of dudology.
Dudology?
Dudology, yeah.
Okay, then.
But I'm pretty sure it's not going to hold up in a court of law.
May not. It depends on the foundation. The one that I was involved with, it goes back to the 60s, and they were very viable, and they were a church that court ordained people. Now, I grew up in my stepfather's church, which I never became a minister of that. Took the studies, did the research, studied comparative religion and everything else, but didn't really want to be confined into a certain, people love labels.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I think we have a problem with that. Are you with this or are you with that? Are you with this or that? I think that's very limiting. When people start to talk to me, and we're not going to get into politics or anything, but even religion or politics, I go, I'm not anything. You talk to me about an issue. Talk to me about what I believe, and I will tell you. Now, you can put that in any bucket you want and label me as whatever, but I don't do that because I think ideas are far more important than aligning with, oh, I'm a this, or I'm an Aries, or I'm a, green monster, or whatever. Talk to me about the issues. Talk to me about what you feel and whatever, and I'll tell you what I feel. And then you can decide what I am.
So it's more of a topical
Absolutely.
situation.
Well, I mean,
Right.
I used to, my friends had, my family used to know this lady. She passed many years ago, Gina Cherminara. And she was a linguist and a professor and stuff. And she taught us that, first of all, if you start any kind of discussion with, well, all of you do blah, 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 or every time all these allness statements, they don't hold up. They don't hold up. It's like saying, well, my husband never takes out the garbage. Well, chances are he has taken it out before. So when you use the word never, it blows in your face, right?
Sure.
So I learned that very early to learn not to use those almond. Everybody who's a blah blah believes this. Not necessarily.
Do you
Right?
have to keep getting your the ordained renewed or anything like that?
Not that I know of. I know that there are certain places that don't acknowledge it. Like when I married my son, what's his name? No, my brother's daughter, one of his daughters, in another state. I couldn't sign the actual because it was a state that said you have to be a minister within this particular state. So I could do the performance of the ceremony,
Yeah.
right? And we created the ceremony, but someone else who had license in that state had to actually sign the documents, which is fine with me.
See,
California.
one of your fans, Greg Carey, just said you're an all-in-one package. We can have you perform this ceremony, and then we can have you as the entertainment after.
There you go. There
You
you
know
go.
what? I think we've got something there.
Yeah, it just will take some money to get me there and do it. Because, in the days of, old, when ministers would like, well, do this for us and we'll give you a chicken. Well, it's a little different these days, right? It's a little different. But yeah, absolutely. I married Amy and I married Charlotte and I married some other people here in California. And it's perfectly legitimate because, see, I think it's a matter of consciousness.
I think it's such an honor that you're asked to perform that, because I just think it's such an honor when I mean,
Absolutely.
and you obviously did good because the girls are happy. So, it keeps it all in the family. Now, Greg also had asked if you have mentioned in the past about Annie Get Your Gun. Is that a favorite of yours? Were you ever in that?
Oh, yeah, I did, Annie. This was back in, oh, Lord have mercy, late 70s. and I played Annie, and the director was amazing. He wanted it to be very realistic because Annie Oakley was not in true life like she was from Kentucky, okay? And she was not like Betty Hutton and I can't remember who else portrayed her. Very loud and blah, blah, blah. She really wasn't like that as a person. So he wanted me to create her as the sensitive, strong but sensitive woman she was. And yeah, I did it at a performance, a couple of up in San Jose area, and it was great. It was great fun because she had real depth, and the songs, I should say. Annie Oakley herself was this little backwoods chick that would shoot squirrels for her family, was a good sharpshooter, and then would crochet backstage when she's waiting to go on. And I don't know if that's the right accent because my director was also very he was like Professor Higgins. It's like, well, that's a Texas accent. This is an Alabama accent. This is a Kentucky. He was like a linguist that way. So we had to do the accent that was appropriate for her. You know. So we showed her as the strong person, but she also was very sensitive. And very touching. And I have it on tape somewhere, but I have no idea where. But it was great fun. It's great fun.
The gentleman who asked was Charlie Davenport when they
Okay.
did Annie Get Your Gun.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a question for you, actually.
Okay.
Trying to think what my question was. I was so intelligent that it escaped my mind real quick. Okay, so one thing you had talked about last week when we were talking, when I had said that I think you actually do different drum in a more powerful and believable way than Linda Ronstadt. You had pointed out it's age that
Absolutely.
adds to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's funny because today I was listening to the radio and a song by Christina Aguilera came on, which was called What a Girl Wants. And she was about 16, 17 years old when she sang that song. And I kept thinking about you, what you had said. And I almost was laughing to myself because you know what? I never thought of it in that way. Here's a girl with a great voice, but does she understand the responsibility of the message that she's singing? How could you? I mean, but it was something that I learned from listening to you
Uh,
that made me kind of like think a little bit more about, about the things that I've been listening to
yeah.
and singing. Oh, I know what the question was.
Okay.
I saw a video of you on the Gong Show.
Oh my Lord.
How did that happen? And were you ever on any other shows like that?
No. That happened because it was in the 70s, and I literally was trying to make a name for my own self, not just through Mickey. Went on the show and did really well. And their feeling about it was that I was a professional because I was kind of working with Mickey and stuff. So instead of just telling me this is only for like silly people and this and that, they let me go on it, right? Well, I was obviously more professional than anybody else. And they treated me like shit. It was really bad because I was just being sincere and serious. Oh, I'm getting a feedback. Do you have your speaker on?
No, I don't hear it at all.
Okay. Um, anyway, I was going just to be able to, try to create a career or whatever. And they thought I was a professional. I was slumming it. I remember Chuck Norris. No, not Chuck Norris. Chuck
Barris.
Chuck Barris. They called me back to do even another one. And I was on tour with Mickey and Davey at the time on the East Coast. And he goes, "Oh, we slumming it?" And I went, "What do you mean?" Because again, he's thinking you're a professional. So why even have me there, right? So they didn't gong me, but they also didn't let me win because they thought I was a professional. I shouldn't have been there in the first place. So it was just a weird thing because we were on the East Coast in Connecticut someplace, and I'm thinking, oh, it's going to air, and won't that be fun? And they actually, the second time, they took my performance off of the show and put some kind of clown weird guy on or something. So, it was all contrived and kind of like the reality shows where they're not really reality shows. They
Right.
have it, they mess with it and edit it and stuff. So, yeah, it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's,
looked really good in those days too. Oh my
oh
god.
my God, man. You, what, how did you wind up getting into teen magazines? Were you modeling back
No,
then?
no. Ann Moses
Yeah.
was a writer in those days, and she approached me and said, "You want to write some articles?" And in fact, I just saw one today. I was looking through old memorabilia. Coco brings everybody on a tour of Mickey's house. Um,
I think you were like making his bed in one of the pictures.
yeah, exactly,
You had the poncho on.
exactly. So, yeah, I mean, they would approach me because in those days, well, like even in these days too, I mean, anybody who's associated with, it's like, oh, let's hear what you've got to say. So they approached me.
How about that? I know when I watched the Gong Show, I couldn't believe that I'd never even saw this before, but now I understand why. They wanted people to make asses out of themselves. They weren't looking
Yes.
for the next American Idol, basically.
And in those days, it wasn't American Idol. See, it was the Gong shows. Like, can you get gonged? So they were looking for the most silliest, outrageous things. I just wanted somebody to see me and say, boy, she can sing. Give her a record contract.
Did you ever get close to getting a record contract? Because you're probably one of the best female singers I've ever heard.
Oh, you are so sweet.
No, but I actually do mean
Okay.
that.
There was a time where I was, kicking around LA trying to do all that. I didn't have the right people and the right, people behind me and all of that. And they didn't know what to do with me either, because in those days, and I'm talking the 70s, you were either a country singer or a jazz singer or a rock singer or a this singer or a that. And I was doing everything. It's like, what bucket do they put you in?
Uh-huh.
It was before they'd say, "Oh, it's a rock jazz cross." I think I was given the opportunity to sing Delta Dawn, as a matter of fact, and I turned it down because I thought it was a stupid song. Because I wanted to sing, "Let There Be Peace on Earth." So, God, I made some silly decisions, I guess. But yeah, there was, but I wasn't ready, and I didn't have a theme. I didn't have a focus, which I do now. Actually, I'm going to record some songs about the earth and about being green and taking care of our earth and planting and earthy stuff. And that's like a focus I have right now because it's really important to me. And that's the thing that comes with age too, right? I used to teach singing to this kid. Sorry, I'm eating roasted garbanzo beans. Dinner time. I was coaching a little girl in Georgia when I lived there, and she was like 9 or something. And she wanted to sing these songs because she wanted to be like American Idol thing, right? So she'd start to sing a song, Jody, and she'd like do all this stuff with her hands and everything. I go, "What are you doing?"
Beauty pageant.
Yeah, it wasn't coming from interpreting the song. It was, this is what they do. I look good, right? So I started asking her the song that she wanted to sing that we were working on. One of them was the Little Mermaid one. Look at this thing, da 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 da, da 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 da,
Uh-huh.
and I want to be like the people up there. I started asking her, what in the hell are you singing about? What's the meaning? Here's this mermaid who wants to be like everyone else. So would you, in feel it? The words that you're singing, this other song that she wanted to do, I can't remember the name of it. And it was the same thing. It's like, you have to feel, you're telling a story. And as you get older, going back to what you said about Ronstadt, Linda Ronstadt was like 19 years old, and she's singing a song to sound pretty it wasn't even her arrangement. It was Peter Asher's or somebody, or Nick Vinay's. And that's one kind of rendition of it. And it was a gorgeous song, and she did great. And she's an amazing singer, right? But when you get older and you have experience, all of a sudden it touches you at different levels, you know? I remember when I was sang it at a club in the 70s, I was 20 something, and I was going to sing My Man. Did I tell you about that?
I don't think so.
Oh
No.
my God. Cost me a lot, but it's one thing that I've got. It's my man. Right? Old song. What in the hell do I know about all that at 22 years old? I mean, really, right? And our drummer, whose name was, I can't remember his name, he used to play for Liberace, which a lot of these people listening may not even know who that is, but Liberace.
No, they will, because he was on an episode of The Monkees. So trust me, they'll get
There you go.
it.
So anyway, so Randy, no, his name wasn't Randy. Shit, what was his name? I can't remember. Anyway, I start to sing this song. I have these, like these gowns on, and I'm going to sing this very serious song about my man at 22. And he would hit the rim shot on the drum and go, Coco, I told you the guy is supposed to pay. Cost me a lot, but it's right. I would get livid because I'm trying to sing this very dramatic song about my man and he beats me too. What can I do? Right? Well, I don't sing that anymore because but it's the same thing at 22. Now at 70, you sing about an experience with a man or with your love or with life or whatever. You have a whole different take. You have experience behind you, you know?
Yeah.
So that I did different drum better than Ronstadt? Not at all. It's my rendition at 50 years later of the experience that I've gone through telling this story, and it's a different story. That's all.
You tell it pretty good.
My
Same
broken
thing,
words.
same thing with White Rabbit.
Mm.
I mean, you really, I mean, the vocals that you have, that's one thing. Now that did your mom and dad, did they both sing?
Hmm. My dad sang light opera. My mom sang blues and jazz and stuff, but she never really did it professionally. Neither did he, really. Um, but I don't know. I just never ruined my voice, and that's a really powerful song.
Yeah, it's probably some of my favorite parts of Mickey's shows, because I know, do you know what
No, he'll know. He knows. He knows.
I've said to him, what's it like being the second best singer in your family?
Oh my God.
He knows.
Not true. Not true. The guy can still sing higher than me. He can sing different genres better. It cracks. Well, I can't sing rock and roll really. I'm not any Cyndi Lauper, but when I listen to stuff he's done over and over, and especially that I remember the Remember album
Yeah.
and the Queen for a Day. Oh my God, it's like his ability to change his voice and the different performances. It just amazes me. I pretty much kind of do the same thing in my mind, but yeah, he's amazing.
What did you think people were asking, actually, I got a lot of this. People wanted to know when Mickey, well, I mean, he was actually famous your whole life,
Yeah,
technically.
pretty
So
much.
you didn't know any different. But did you and your mom, when you say you were going to the conventions and all these people know more about your family, did you ever just like laugh that this is Mickey who, does whatever at home and then these people are like bowing down to him?
Um, it's just it's the side effects of the trade, you know. I certainly understand his work and how it has affected people, just like other artists and people affect me, you know. The fact that everybody knew more about our personal life or things was kind of shocking. Like, oh my God. It's like, well, in 1967, do you remember when you da da da? No, I do not, but they do. And I honor that importance. I honor the importance that they place on these ideas and feelings. And as you know, Jody, so many times have I been talking to people at different venues and after a show or whatever, when they are expressing their gratitude and appreciation for the guys. You know, I've had people say they were my brothers growing up. When I watched the show, all of this chaos was going on around me, and I could block it out and just be with these guys who were having a great time and we're enjoying ourselves. And it was an escape. And some of the music, of course, was also inspiring. I had somebody recently, well, who was that? Some show, Take a Giant Step, that we were doing again
Yeah.
in Mike's show. It changed them. Take a giant step outside your mind. What would that do for you? We have the opportunity to do that right now as well. You know, we're having to do things differently than we ever did before. We're having to look at things differently. Like I said about taking lemons and making lemonade, it's like you have something that is like, oh my God, what is this? You do something good with it. You
That's
know,
right.
people are helping each other. People are figuring out how to do things online. People are being creative. Their creative juices and everything are flowing. So there's always good that can come from anything, you know, and you have to step outside your paradigm. Look it up, the word.
This is a great time to me. I mean, I have people I miss,
Mm-hmm.
but when did you, I mean, in your lifetime, did you ever have this much private time, either with yourself, your family, where you didn't care as much if the cell phone, like I'm not attached to my phone as much as I used to. And,
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing
Time
people.
for, yeah, absolutely. It's a time for retrospection. It's a time for being with yourself. It's a time for being with your family that maybe you're not always used to. Like I heard on NPR today, you know, I've got a conference call and my wife's got a conference call, and the 1 year old and the 2 year old are going crazy crying, right? Yeah, go back 200 years to when that was the norm. You know, people trying to do business and deal with their family life and everything else. So, yeah, it's not easy, but I think I don't know. I just think it's opening us up to all kinds of possibilities.
This is a good time for the kids to take over, the ones that have the computer knowledge. It's their time to shine. I mean, when you think about every television, like what the hell was Zoom? Now all of a sudden everybody knows what Zoom
I
is.
know, and there's been all these. I mean, I used to teach WebEx, which was an online meeting center, right, for 20 years, right? And Zoom, for some reason, has come along and been this big, woohoo!
Zoom.
I don't know who owns them or whatever, but there are a lot of those types of software programs out there. Um, and it's wonderful. It's a way to connect. We did that on my birthday, for goodness sakes, because nobody was going to come over. We weren't going to do anything, right? So Mickey and all my nieces and everybody, we Zoomed it. Um, but Zoom is just one of many. You know, well, there's this, whatever you're doing, and there's Facebook Live, and there's, I don't know. There's lots of them,
we
and
are we're very I think we're lucky that we have what we have. I mean,
absolutely.
we're just lucky. But before we get off, because you have something you need to do, we're going to start doing these, and I want you to start giving me topics that I can start giving to people that they can start thinking about. It doesn't
Okay.
have, there's so much more to you than Mickey and the monkeys, and I think
Oh,
people
thank you.
realize that. I've realized it for a long time. I know that there's that curiosity, of course, but there's
Well,
so many.
you could ask people too. Also, put out a thing of like, what do you want to talk about? We can
Okay.
talk about everything from science fiction stories to herbology to comparative religion to you name it. I'm up for anything. I'm a
Can we talk
renaissance.
about menopause soon? Because I mean,
Been there,
some of
done
us
that.
are getting to that age.
There's a musical called Menopause, which is hysterical. Yeah, we could talk about that. Been there, done that. You know.
I just love you so much. So the last thing that I'm going to let you go with, but people were asking if we can set it up, and I'm talking to Alex this week, if we can get you and Alex and do something like this and stream some songs. So
Absolutely. If Alex knows how to do that, I do not. So talk to him.
Yep.
And I'd be very happy. I was supposed to do a thing for this group a couple weeks ago. I couldn't technologically figure it out, and I went, oh well. But I have my keyboard set up. In fact, I'm doing some songs with my son and his grandson. And my grandson, he's writing songs. So he said, garage band, this and that, MIDI, blah, blah, blah. So I'm figuring it all out. I got my keyboard here. So yeah, we're going to do something. I'm not sure. But I would love to do that with Alex. And as long as he, leads me into what it is that we have to do, I'll do it.
All right. I'll when I talk to him, I'll make that happen because I know that that's what the fans want to hear. So
Great.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. We'll figure out what day we're gonna do this as much as we possibly can because this gives everybody something good to look at.
Great fun. People have questions. I mean, if they have problems, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor, but I have learned certain things over the years that have helped me, deal with uncertainty and whatever. And I'd be very happy to share it with people. And it's like the old thing, take it. And if it works, fine. If not, throw it out.
That's right. Oh, I'm so glad. This is perfect.
This has been great, Jody. Thank you.
I'll talk to you during the week anyway, but you be safe.
Yes.
Have fun. And the oil, you have more of those that people can buy?
I have still some of these. Yeah, absolutely. I've got 4 thieves and eucalyptus in this right now. And I've been experiencing, we're having to wear masks and stuff is kind of like, obstructing this, the breathing and stuff. So, I really depend on them. And lavender at night, I put it in a little thingy by my bed. Lavender smell is just like, so nice. And peppermint to keep away the spiders.
I love it. I love it.
It worked for thousands of years. Why not now?
Yeah, why not just recreate whatever works, right?
Whatever works.
And it's cheaper.
Absolutely. And it's more natural instead of, it's like I'm working on a garden, setting up a garden at my nephew's house. He's got all this land. And he says, I was going to use Roundup to get rid of all these weeds. I went, no, you are not. It's like evil, orange, green. Blah.
I think it has stuff that can cause cancer.
Oh, God, yes. It's evil. It's evil stuff. So he said, well, it's really easy. I go, yeah, and it's evil. And you don't want to put that in the ground because I'm about taking care of our earth. So we're finding alternatives in getting rid of things than, all that polluting, horrible, toxic stuff.
Oh, good. Well, you just stay safe. I will talk to you this week.
All right.
And you're the best. I love you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye. All right. So there we have Coco. If you want to get the little thing that you put the smelly stuff in, the necklace, it'll come to me. Go to her Etsy store, which is Dolenz Delights, and she's got more of them. But you're buying everything else up, so you got to get them quickly. And next week, Alex Jules is going to be hanging out with us, and there's other cool stuff. And you did hear that right. Alice Cooper is going to be here in a couple of weeks. And trust me, you'll know what day it is when I know what day it is. So anyway, keep the questions coming. Anything you want to ask Coco and anything else, we got it covered. Have a very, very good weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope that you're going to do something smart with this time. And thanks for hanging out with me. Have a great night, guys. Mwah. Love you. Bye.